Brandy, otherwise known as Mystery of Diamonds, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, hey y'all. Okay, so we see Nakey Nails, so it's time for miniatures. So we're doing another installment on our cat bakery. So, as I've said, when I decide to work on my cat bakery, I do a couple of things. I put down my wax paper so that glue doesn't get all over my table. And as I'm doing my my section, see, like my book has where like this is all one section. So I go ahead, I look at see what I need, what I have to cut out, what all pieces I need, and I put it in one of the diamond painting boats and I put it in a baggie. That means everything that I need for this section up here is all in this bag. And then once I'm done with that bag, then I can move on to the next bag and so on and so forth. And that just kind of helps me because I've already got everything cut out. And so now all I've got to do is put it together. It saves me a lot of frustration and things like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the stuff out of the bag. All right, so what it says that we've got to do is we have a round, whoops, like this foil cake little thing, and we have to turn it over and we have to kind of fold in all around. Okay, and then it says we turn it over, we put our little thing, and we bring the foil up around the sides. Now, I don't want this to fall off, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit, I'm going to very carefully put a little bit of glue on the bottom of here. And I use these fine liner bottles because it gives me more control. All right. So I'm going to set this to the side for it to dry. Then the next thing is I had to cut out a cake pad, and I had to cut out this, and it says this is the C6. So it says I've got to stick this onto the cake pad. Alright, now if you'll see, they don't match up exactly, and that's okay because you can still trim around the edges to get it to match up. See? It had us cut out like this little doily out of the pre-printed materials. Okay, and it says that we're going to then stick this on top of here. So we're going to glue this down. Okay, and it says that we have to do 2 of these cake pads. So I'm going to set this one off to dry while I get my other one out. And by the way, what you're seeing me take out, this was the template for the cake pads, and so it had me cut, and I used the templates to cut these out, and then I just kept them in here until I'm done, and I can, I've got, now I know I've got all my pieces. Alright, so we are going to set those up here to dry. Alright, now the next part I already did. I had to cut out cut 3 of my little kiwis. So I have those 3 kiwis, and I had to take a lemon slice. So you can get it. I had to take a lemon slice and cut it into 3. So I have those cut in there, and I had to cut these little red thingies off. All right, because now we're going to actually start decorating this cake. So we're going to take one of these, and we're going to glue our cake on to the cake pad. Now I'm going to get out my little tweezers because we need to start placing these things on the cake. Alright, so far I've put the little pomegranate piece here, I've put the kiwi, and I've got the lemon. So now I'm going to put the little paper slices and stuff. We have our little decorated cake. Alright, so now we're going to move on to our second section, which is being able to put the other cakes on and stuff. So I've got my next baggie. Alright, I've gone ahead and I've cut up my kiwi and my lemons like it has already told me. So then the next thing that I have to do is I have to get the round cake dish, and I have the silver. It's kind of like this one up here. You have the silver and you've got to glue it onto the cardboard piece, and you're going to make 2 of these. So we're going to do that first. Alright, so I have the 2 cake things. So the next thing, and it doesn't really, it tells you in here that you've got to do C13, which is this braided silver cord. And what you have to do is you have to glue it going around the base of this. Okay, so that it makes like this decorative cake base. And I found the easiest way for me to do this is like a little bit at the time. Right. And don't worry if you get like little glue things on it, because you're going to be putting a cake down on top of it. So, you know, it's mostly the outsides that are going to be seen. All right. So we have 1 down, 1 more to go. Alright, so once you have your 2 cakes trimmed, I put this back in the bag that has the fabrics. Next, we're going to take this doily and we're going to glue it on it. So now we have our doily on our cake platter. Next part is to put the cake, which happens to be this cake, and we're going to put it on. Okay, now let's take a look at what decorations they want us to do. So we have looks like we have all the C18, which is the kiwi, and the C7. So the kiwi is going to be on this side and the lemons on this side, and then our little sign goes in the middle, and we want it with the icing facing forward. Okay. And so here is our little decorated cake. I'll set that one to the side. Because next we're going to take the cake pad that we made from the step above, and we have to put, this cake on it. This one already has like the decorations on it that it's going to have. You just have to put your little sign on the front of the cake. So we're going to glue this cake onto this cake pad. All right, then we're going to get our little sign, and we're going to glue it to the front of the cake. So now we have our sign on our cake pad. I'm going to set that to the side to dry. Okay, so the next part actually has to do with the cake stand that we made earlier. So I'm going to pull out all of my little stuff that I made earlier. So what we've got to do is we've now got to put our cakes inside here, okay, and our other decorations on top here to complete our little cake stand. Okay, so the first cake that goes in is what we made in the first step. Now, what I'm checking for is that all of my labels are facing outward, which they are. Good. So now I can glue the other stuff on. So now we got our cakes inside of our cake display. We have our cake balls on top. We got our cupcakes and our lollipops. So our cake display is all ready. Okay, our next section is that we need to complete this frame, and we need to put together our greeting cards and then glue them together like this. Now the greeting cards, they have the cardboard, and then they have the decorative piece, and you glue them together like we did the cake dishes up above. Here you have a frame from the decorative piece on top of a cardboard, and then you have the picture goes inside and the back goes on. So let's do that. Now we're going to assemble the greeting cards, which is just simply you take one of the cardboard pieces and you put one of the cards on top, and we're going to do that for all 5 of them. You're going to want to make sure that it's right side up, because then you're going to kind of glue them like this so that it'll be a little bit easier when you go to place it on your shelf inside of the miniature. And now we have our greeting cards. Alright, so next step is to make our 2 little gift boxes. So the first thing I had to do, and I've already gone ahead and did this, is that we had to cut around the handles so that we'd be able to lift the handles up. And then I had to cut out this little piece of saran, like it's like clear thin plastic that we're going to put right here so that it can kind of show through the box. And then we have to finish assembling the box. Then on this one, okay, we have to make the bottom of the box. We're going to fit the top on it, which we've already made in a previous step, okay? And then we have to wrap basically your quote-unquote ribbon around the top and put your label on the front, okay? So this is about making the boxes, and what I find is that I went and got, like I said, I have these, they're called paper folding pliers, and that just helps me to make really clear folds. But it tells us first, before we start really folding anything, we need to get this clear piece on right here. So what I'm actually going to do is, because I want this to dry, so before I start folding, so I'm actually going to fold the blue box first while that is folding. Now, if you don't have one of these, you can fold with your sharp tweezers, okay? You can fold on the lines with these, but considering that I've got a lot of miniatures that I want to do, I went and got these. Okay, and see, it just makes the folds all that easier, because now I can glue my sides together. Okay, actually I tried something different rather than gluing. I just wanted to see how it would work. I went and got this really thin double-sided. I've got 2 types. I've got one that's a little bit thicker, and then I've got this one. And so what I did is I took a small piece and I put it on this little tab right here and pulled off the backing, and then when I put the box on, it stayed without the mess of glue. So I'm going to try that again. Oh, look at there, look at there. Oh, without the glue mess. Oh, I like that. I like that. Okay, so now I'm going to cut me 2 more pieces to go on these sides. Oh, look at there. And then we have our little box, which we then put our box top on. Then we got to wrap it with the ribbon. Okay, the ribbon is too thin for me to use the double-sided adhesive, so I'm going to have to actually glue this. Alright, so we got our ribbon. Now for our sign. We got to glue our sign onto the front of our box. Alright, so we have our bottom box done. So we're going to set that to the side to dry. Now we should be able to fold this. Alright, so this one was a little bit complicated. So this is the back. So if you turn it like this, you're going to fold it like this, okay, where these are your last little flaps to close. Okay, so considering that, I'm going to put tape in here for these 2, and then once I have those, I'll put tape here and here for the top, and then I'll go from there. Alright, so what I should be able to do is I should be able to pull off the double-sided part. Let me get in the camera. Alright, now that I have that, I should be able to fold this one and this one. Woo, 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 yay! So now I will put double-sided tape on this side and this side so that we can fold the front down. Okay, so now that we've got the tape here, just make sure that you've got your insides right here so that you can apply that right there. See, now you've got the insides of your cake, so you're going to fold these 2 flaps on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put tape on this flap and this flap. And now you have your second box. So the only thing that you have to do left is you have to glue your top box to your bottom box. Okay, and you want to kind of like catty corner them so that it looks all pretty. There's our little stack of boxes. This is what's going to go next to the door. So our last part is to put together our cake with our cake stand, our strawberry cake, and all that. So now some of this I did have to save to be able to do so that I could cut these up, because these would be way too small. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put together some of this first before I cut this up. So I'm kind of, even though I know it says to go in this direction, I'm going to go ahead and put these 4 together before I cut up this part to put on top. Okay, so we have 4, and we're going to glue them on top of each other. Okay, so now we have our little cake, our little multi-layer cake. I'm going to set this to the side because now I have to take this, and it tells me to take the red part off and chop up the pink part. So Very careful, please. If you are using your X-Acto, try to be very, very careful. You know, don't cut yourself. Now we just chop this up really, really finely, or as much as we can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it in slices, and then from there I'm going to cut the slices. Alright, so now what you should have is this little bitty assortment of cuts. And so what you've got to do is you've got to put that on the top of this. So I'm going to put glue down, and then I'm going to sprinkle it on. Alright, so now I have the chopped up pieces on the top of my cake. Alright, the next part is that we have to take these strawberries and we have to glue them around the cake. Alright, so we have to let this kind of dry because it's kind of moving all over the place the more that I touch it and fiddle with it. So I'm going to put this to the side to dry while we do the next part. We have to make a little sign that's going to stick in the cake. So we got to use this gold wire, and it says that we need 0.6 centimeter. Alright, so we have the stick and we have to glue the sign onto the stick. We have our little sign. I'm going to set that aside for a minute. Next part, and I've already measured this, it should have been 4.7 centimeters, and we actually are going to cut this lace where it's only the frilly part that shows. Alright, now we have the frilly part, and it tells us to glue the frilly part around the base of the strawberries. Alright, so we have the lace around the bottom. We gotta put the sign in the top. Now we take our cake dish that we made in a previous step, and we take this little thing, and I'm going to glue this on to here to make our cake stand. Alright, now our cake stand needs to dry for just a few minutes before we attempt to put the cake on it. Alright, so now we are going to glue our cake on the top of our cake stand. And there is our cake. And we have completed this whole page. So what we've done today is we've done the cake stand, we've done the boxes for the door. These will end up going on the shelf along with the picture frame. My big fingers won't do it. Along with our picture frame and our cake. And so far, this is what we have done of our cake bakery. We are getting really close to finishing, guys. We don't have but 2.5 more pages, and then our cat bakery will be complete. Okay, so thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed, I'd love for you to subscribe and join the craziness that is my channel. Just make sure you hit that little bell notification so you know that whenever I upload a video, which is whenever my schedule will allow it. Alright, so that's all. I'm going to leave you with, like I always do, reach for the stars, grab hold, hold on, and never let go. Until my next video, bye guys.